Here's something that'll restructure your thoughts, Kalin. Imagine being so spectacularly bad at your job that you literally helped cause a civil war. That's precisely what happened with James Buchanan, our 15th president.
That's such a striking way to put it, Pappy. And what's really remarkable is that he came into office with probably the most impressive resume of any president up to that point: Secretary of State, ambassador to both Russia and Britain, senator. Yet he's consistently ranked as one of our worst presidents.
You know what makes his story even more fascinating? He remains our only bachelor president, and there's this whole interesting subplot about his personal life. He lived with William Rufus King, another politician, for 15 years, and Andrew Jackson actually called them Miss Nancy and Aunt Fancy.
Well, his niece, Harriet Lane, ended up serving as White House hostess and actually became quite the celebrity in Washington society. But let's talk about how things started going wrong almost immediately after he took office.
Oh man, did they ever? The Supreme Court dropped the Dred Scott decision right at the start of his presidency, and instead of trying to calm things down, Buchanan actually supported it. It's like watching someone throw gasoline on a fire and calling it water.
That's right. And here's something many people don't know. He had actually corresponded with Supreme Court Justice Greer about the case before it was decided, trying to influence the outcome. He thought it would somehow settle the slavery question once and for all.
Talk about a catastrophic miscalculation. Then we get to the whole Kansas situation, which really shows how bad his judgment was. You had pro slavery forces pushing through this clearly fraudulent constitution. And what does Buchanan do? He supports it.
That decision to back the Lecompton Constitution really fractured the Democratic Party. Stephen Douglas, the leading Northern Democrat, publicly opposed him on this.
And that split in the Democratic Party basically handed the 1860 election to Lincoln. But here's where things get really wild. When Southern states started seceding after Lincoln's election, Buchanan came up with this bizarre legal theory.
Oh, yes, his famous secession is illegal, but I can't do anything about it position. How exactly did he think that would work?
Right? It's like saying, hey, that bank robbery is illegal, but as a police officer, I don't have the authority to stop it. And during this crucial period between Lincoln's election and inauguration, 7 states seceded while Buchanan basically sat on his hands.
And during this time, Southern states were actually seizing federal forts and arsenals. His own cabinet was falling apart, with 4 secretaries resigning, some of them later joining the Confederacy.
You know what's fascinating? After leaving office, he actually supported the Union cause during the Civil War. It's like he finally figured out what needed to be done, but only after it was way too late for him to do anything about it.
That's such an interesting point about historical perspective. He spent his final years at his estate, Wheatland, writing his memoir and trying to defend his actions during the secession crisis.
And get this, in his memoir, he still insisted his policy of inaction was the right approach. He died in 1868, having lived just long enough to see the Union preserved, but probably not long enough to understand his role in nearly destroying it.
So, what do you think is the most important lesson we can learn from Buchanan's presidency?
I think is that leadership requires more than just experience and qualifications. It requires moral courage and the ability to recognize when the moment demands bold action. Buchanan had all the knowledge in the world, but when the crucial moment came, he couldn't rise to the occasion. His presidency shows us that sometimes the worst failures in leadership aren't from making the wrong decision, but from failing to make any decision at all.
That's such a powerful observation, Pappy, especially when we think about how it applies to leadership today. Sometimes taking a moderate position or trying to stay neutral in a moral crisis can actually mean taking a side by default.
Right on, Kalin. And perhaps that's Buchanan's most important legacy as a reminder that sometimes the most outstanding service a leader can provide is recognizing when old approaches aren't working anymore, when the moment demands something different. His failure to do that helped lead the nation into its greatest crisis.